For some reason, swathes of Star Wars fans don't actually seem to be on board with Rogue One, the Star Wars spin-off that's been on its way for years now. Yeah, alright, there aren't going to be any lightsabers, but the fact that Han Solo has always been more popular than Luke Skywalker is testament to the fact that Star Wars can get by on a bit of gunplay and devilish charm without relying on space wizards.
It's all a lot of simple tricks and nonsense.
Best of all, the fact that Rogue One sits chronologically right between the first two trilogies, it's an ideal place to expand upon so many aspects of the movie universe. We've compiled just a few of the tricks they might have up their sleeve. I'm Peter from Whatculture.com, and here are 8 compelling ways Rogue One could complement the main series. Number 8. Bridge the gap from Skywalker to Vader. We know now for sure that Vader is set to wheeze his way back onto our screens when Rogue One finally hits cinemas in December, but his appearance could turn out to serve a much better purpose than simply forced fan service that it seemed to be branded by naive critics. Currently, if you were to sit down and watch the Star Wars movies chronologically, the leap from annoying Anakin to vicious Vader is one of the most jarring changes between episodes 3 and 4.
What have I done?
Cocky, whiny, obnoxious, almost moronic.
Liar!
Skywalker, and by extension the Darth Vader we saw for the last 5 minutes of Revenge of the Sith, was nothing like the cold, cruel and calculating Sith Lord who emerged from the smoke in A New Hope. An appearance by Vader in a movie which is, for all intents and purposes, bridging the gap and filling in the blanks, provides Disney with a wonderful opportunity to transform Anakin, you underestimate my power Skywalker, into Darth, I find your lack of faith disturbing Vader. Number 7. Add weight to future events. Though it hasn't actually been confirmed, it's rumoured that Alderaan, Princess Leia's home planet, will feature at some point in Rogue One. If true, this is one of many examples of how the movie could actually enrich the classic trilogy by expanding on aspects of the universe that have otherwise lacked detail. Sure, A New Hope did a reasonably good job on its own of evoking our sadness at the destruction of a planet we knew nothing about. It helped that Leia was standing there watching it all unfold, and that Obi-Wan came out with,
I felt a great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced.
Exploring Alderaan in Rogue One, though, would bring about so much more emotion when we inevitably rewatch Episode 4 for the 100th time. Nothing could add more weight to this scene than knowing that Grand Moff Tarkin is moments away from killing all the little Rogue One children we saw playing in the Alderaan sunshine. Number 6. Provide a well-needed break from the Skywalker clan. Now, first off, let me prefix this by saying that the Skywalkers are, for the most part, an awesome bunch and an absolute keystone of the Star Wars saga. But be honest, as fun as it is to speculate who Rey's parents are and how Maz got hold of Luke's saber, and if Snoke is actually Princess Leia, that's actually a real fan theory, look it up, it might be a welcome break to simply take the second of what's set to be a series of annual visits to the Star Wars galaxy without having to worry about the deeper implications on the mythos. We'll all get our fill of blasters, X-Wings and swashbuckling in space, but there'll be far fewer of the mind-bending questions that left Force Awakens viewers a little bit exhausted. Mind you, it was a fun kind of exhausted, so swings and roundabouts. Number 5. Flesh out the evil of the Empire. So there's this ridiculous theory out there that's almost as old as the franchise itself that says the Empire are actually misunderstood and really ought not to be branded evil by you prejudiced lot. They brought order to the galaxy, cries one proponent. The troopers are just following orders from a handful of bad apples, hollers another. Well, no, I'm sorry, they're space Nazis through and through, and this is a fan theory for the sake of making a fan theory. So in order to put these silly ideas to bed, one thing Rogue One could do is really drive home the fact that these guys are bad to the bone. In fairness to the theorists, beyond shooting a few Jawas and blowing up a planet we only ever saw from space, everything else remotely evil that the Empire did was aimed at a military target. So, harrowing as it may be, I reckon it's high time we saw some major Imperial war crimes. Number 4. Question the pure goodness of the Alliance. On the other side of things, Rogue One could change our views on the Rebel Alliance in a big way. The heroes of the film aren't your classic good guy archetypes going by what we've seen from them thus far. They're a ragtag group of complex misfits brought together to achieve a common goal. Jyn Erso, for example, the lead character played by Felicity Jones, is a wanted criminal with questionable morals, a far cry from the humble farm boy Luke Skywalker, wouldn't you say? The Rebel side also features a paid assassin and a Clone Wars veteran, more on him later, blurring the lines between hero, anti-hero, and just doing it for the cash. In contrast to the sickly sweet, holier-than-thou, butter-wouldn't-melt performances in Return of the Jedi,
Wait, come back!
a little bit of grit would go a long way in Rogue One. Number 3, tie in with the new canon. We know very well by now that the animated shows Rebels and The Clone Wars survived Disney's retcon, so well done to them. For those who are yet to have the pleasure, you should seriously give them a go, and maybe Rogue One will be the movie to persuade you to do so. First off, screenwriter Gary Whitta has lent his pen both to Rogue One and the upcoming season of Rebels, so there's sure to be a few nods here and there to the crew of the Ghost. On top of that, it's now been confirmed that Academy Award winner Forrest Whitaker is actually playing Saw Gerrera, a name that anybody familiar with Star Wars The Clone Wars will already know. He was actually trained in the wars by none other than Stony Bro homie Obi-Wan Kenobi to fight against the Separatists, but now he'll be turning up as a much older and more grizzled veteran in Rogue One. It's unprecedented for a Star Wars movie to feature an already established character like this in a major role, so not only is Rogue One set to bridge the gap between Anakin and Vader, it could also become the perfect conduit for linking the TV shows with future movies. Number 2, expand on dead characters. In the Star Wars universe, dead means dead, or dead means Force Ghost. As a result, there are dozens of sideline characters from all 6 movies that we only ever saw for fleeting moments before they kicked the bucket, and thus we're almost certainly not going to see them popping up for some character development in the 3rd trilogy. But Rogue One saves the day again, potentially. There are already whispers about the appearance of Grand Moff Tarkin, one of my favourite characters from the classic trilogy, and there's plenty of scope for Mon Mothma to get the screen time she's always deserved. Porkins, Wedge Antilles, Bail Organa, all of these characters are either confirmed dead or are just unlikely to appear in episodes 8 or 9 for other reasons. Rogue One, and indeed the other standalone movies we're sure to see in the future, have oodles of opportunity to develop the characters we never saw enough of. And number 1, establish the tone for Star Wars stories. Originally dubbed Star Wars Anthology, the spin-off movies are now to be called Star Wars Stories and are set to portray characters, locations and events way beyond the scope of the Skywalker gang. So will this mean a change in style? How will the music stack up? Can we expect an opening crawl? Maybe we'll be dropped straight into the action. The pressure's on, as Rogue One will have to set all manner of precedents and deliver them in a way that leaves the fans cheering for the spin-offs as much as the main saga. The true litmus test will be how well they can demonstrate that the Jedi aren't the only ones that can influence the galaxy. And that's our list. Now, what do you think Rogue One could bring to the main series? What did we miss out? Let us know in the comments below. As always, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You can follow us on Twitter here. I'm Peter from Whatculture.com, and I'll see you soon.